Hello and welcome to another jungle tutorial, and in this one we are going to be taking a look at a very complete jungle game, one so complete that in fact we can use it as an ultimate example of everything you need to include in your game to ensure that you're giving yourself the best chance to carry, win, and climb. Now this will of course apply to every single MMR bracket, however our jungler here really does have to 1v9 and pull out all of his moves and stops despite an excellent early game in order to secure the win for his team. And to do so he's using a carry jungler. Naturally, this gives you a better chance of success, but at the same time, if you employ these best practices in your games, if you make a concerted effort to insert all of these different things into how you view the jungle, guaranteed you will see a lot more success for the final half of the Season 9. All of that with fancy effects and more following this.
League of Legends can come down to the finest details. Even the smallest item differences can cause a 1v1 to swing either way. So don't make a fool of yourself, make the smart choice, head to u.gg's builds and rune page for the best win rate, items, rune sets, and skill ability order, in addition to using their dedicated runes and item win rate pages, all customizable by position, region, MMR, and more, and find the hidden OP with u.gg in 30 seconds or less.
And now as we get straight into the gameplay, the first thing is of course to know what jungle routes you want to take early. There is a whole bunch of routes you can take since the Scuttle Crab changes, and any videos that I've done and I mentioned I will put in the description so you can have a look at them after this one, including a jungle routes video to guide you. In this case, the Kayn and the Nidalee team, as you have probably noticed, engaged in a typical Korean early game skirmish. It is kind of fun to see this and it happens quite often, but nonetheless, if you don't want to give away free leads, if you want to have a more conservative start, just be a bit more cautious, watch the entrances to your jungle camps, and don't go invading 1 versus 5. Now, despite this, even though the first camp clears were offset, the Kayn wants to go from Raptors to Red to Krugs, before perhaps heading back to base, getting a small item purchase, and then heading towards the bottom side Crab and his blue side. The Nidalee, on the other hand, as you can see, wants to do Red to Gromp full clear. It's all very well knowing what jungle route you want to start, but you also have to be able to adapt, and you also have to understand how your route plays into what the enemy jungler is doing. And this really is point number 1, and that's lane pressure. Doesn't matter if you're Kayn, it doesn't matter if you're Yi, it doesn't matter if you're Karthus. Gank early, get pressure down. You see the Kayn comes in on the Fiora. It forces her to back. He even pushes the wave with his top laner and tries to stop that back again. That's huge lane pressure for his top laner. And because of the Nidalee's clear, she's really in no position to counter gank, she's in no position to intervene whatsoever. And due to the fact that the Fiora was pushed back to base, it gives Kayn priority on that topside scuttle, knowing full well the Nidalee will not be able to contest given he has that lane priority. In addition, as he used his E to scale the walls, it revealed Nidalee's trap as she placed it. This gives him vision, you see his ping, he knows to be safe, Nidalee knows she cannot contest, and is forced back to base. Now, intelligent pathing and understanding of how minions affect your vision as you path around lanes is very important. We did a video on this as well, but nonetheless the Kayn can move around the back of the mid lane without being detected because his mid lane, who happens to be Faker actually, is shoving really far forward. And this gives him priority on the bottom side scuttle as well. So that's 2 neutral objectives taken by the Kayn. The Nidalee had to go back to base, and even though she's done a full clear, the Kayn has river control, and that's very important when you're trying to not only block the enemy's ganking efforts, but also keep them away from invading your jungle. So learn to recognize how map pressure can give you neutral objective control, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a Scuttle Crab, it can be dragons, it can be buffs and things like that. Just understand that that control is very important from a jungler 1v1 perspective, even if you're not actually skirmishing them 1v1. Additionally, good camp clear techniques is also vital to your success as a jungler. Time efficiency, health efficiency in your clears is very important and will ultimately determine what fights you can take, what ganks you can push for, and what dragons you can solo. So even though Kayn is a fast farmer anyway, the fact that he can link his blue and Gromp together, even at the end of it, is an optimal use of time considering you want to really get that experience down as much as possible in the jungle ever since we had those first round of experience nerfs and then also had the Scuttle Crab pushed back to 315. And I'm sorry to do this, given most of you probably are trying to get away from physics, but as with Newton's third law, jungling always has an equal and opposite reaction to someone's decision, and given that Kayn now has that Scuttle Crab control, the Nidalee knows that Kayn would have fallen back from the scuttle into his blue side jungle and most likely gone back to his red side to get the second spawn of his Raptors and Krugs, get that Rubber Bandit experience, which means it opens up the path for her to use her vision control and lane pressure on the bottom lane to get off a nice early game tower dive. So this is a good play by the Nidalee to counteract the fact that the Kayn got both early scuttled. And so now we can fast forward a little bit. The Kayn goes back to base, he gets his item spike, the Nidalee holds mid lane for her laner when she has to go back. Junglers, remember, free experience, deny tower plates to the enemy laner, don't let waves die to the tower, and don't let the enemy laner get free dings, because guess what? That hurts your laner and it will eventually hurt you. But this next step brings to mind the importance of a vision setup. The next crab is spawning, the first RNG crab is spawning. Remember, experience for each crab now is higher than it used to be. And the Kayn is already in position, places that control ward, Nidalee's in her jungle, and it gives the Kayn the opportunity to put himself in a flanking position, which means that he can go and collapse on her as she clears a vision and tries to take the crab. However, what's the cardinal sin the Kayn has committed here? Not paid attention to lane priority. And that's one of the key things for junglers when you're contesting those neutral objectives or engaging in 1v1s. If things go badly 1v1 and you die, I mean, that's one thing. But if things go badly and the lane is rotating, get kills or double ups and things like that, that's the cardinal sin of jungling. Now, fortunately, Faker, gets the kill on the Nidalee, which gives Kayn a level up and a little bit of hope of escaping, but the Akali hits the ignite and down both junglers go. And this means we skip frames, and once they've respawned, you have to understand, in the words of Kratos or, Elsa, depending on what kind of things you're into, to let it go, to give away the crabs, to give away... Okay, well, don't go give crabs away, literally, just in the game, give up the scuttle crabs if you don't have lane prior, if you're not going to be there in time. Nidalee spawn first, your top's pushed in, just get your red buff, focus on your own clears now, there's no need to go back and repeat the mistake. Many times I see junglers in lower mid MMRs, hell, even in higher games, they just greed for these neutral objectives when they don't have the setup, when they are delayed, and it just causes cascading negative effects. So the Kayn is good here, no need to compete over that. There will be more scuttles in the future. So after this, we do want to get back to our lane pressure. We want to get back to ganking. And because the Nidalee has done the crab in her blue side, the Kayn gets the opportunity to go to the bottom side freely, roams down, burns Ezreal's flash, and that is huge for the next few minutes. It's also worth noting that the Nidalee, upon respawning, did the crab, did the blue side, and then went back to base to get the item spike, because walking all the way down to her buffs can be similarly timed to going back to base and then walking there anyway. Even though there is, of course, a delay, the item spike will serve her better. However, because of the fact that she did this, and the fact that she focused her own buffs and camps instead of looking for more lane pressure, gave Kayn the leg up here to not only burn the Ezreal's flash, but to clear his grump and then head back to the bottom lane knowing that flash was down and secure 2 kills for his team. Repeat ganking, I do not see it enough, and not just repeat ganking in general. Get the summoner spells, clear a camp, and immediately come back, because they don't always expect you to do that as laners. What has been the motto on this channel since the beginning? Repeat and abuse. Don't let laners get away with not having summoner spells. Don't let the enemy jungler get away for focusing their own camps and buffs instead of looking for lane pressure. Be the force that dictates the win in each of your games. Now, in addition to watching them move so fluidly around the map, you might have noticed that they're using their map scaling like the Kayn does here, using his E to get around the map as fast as possible. Efficiency is everything, rotations are everything, and these little seconds add up over the course of the first 15-20 minutes to give you those opportunities to have leads you otherwise couldn't if you were just taking a leisurely stroll. And even though Nidalee manages to sneakily and cheekily take away the blue buff from the Kayn, if he didn't use that map scaling to get to the blue as soon as possible, he would not have even been in position to contest for it anyway. And to that note, a lot of people complain that their laners don't make plays, but it's often the case that the laners are trying to make plays, but you as a jungler are not in position to play off of that to make that play actually be successful. Case in point, the Karma roams up top, the Nidalee's holding the mid lane, Aatrox goes in, you follow, you grab a kill, you escape, and now you can use an extended sequence because of that play off of what your team was doing to really put the nail in the coffin and begin your hard carry. Sometimes the hard carry takes a little bit of time to ramp up, but you can head on down to the bottom lane, especially as Blue Kayn, grab some more kills, head back to base, know that the Nidalee, because of your jungle tracking and camp clear understanding, she was most likely going to look for a dive on the top lane, so you now can be in perfect position using your map scaling and mobility boots to be there in time to grab 2 kills for your team, and then don't go back into your jungle BAFK. I see this all the time, push the lane out, get some tower plates, look to roam the enemy jungle, what's available, where else can I make a play? View your camps as fallback options after you've taken out all the outer objectives that are possible for you to secure. Take the scuttle, Get some tower plates, counter jungle the enemy, look for ganks, look for dives, and then you can fall back and take your camps during the downtime. But as with the Kayn here, sometimes you know the enemy shows up with numbers advantages and you have to back out, use the plants to escape. But if you know you have a notable power curve spike, if you know that you guys can contest a fight when the enemy tries to sneak away a dragon right in front of you, they think they've pushed the Kayn off. You can still go in and make a play, but the key is here is that it's measured. Is it worth you going in? What happens if I die? What do we lose if it doesn't pay off? The Kayn knows that he can easily take one out, he has a Karma for shields, and he has a Kai'Sa to get in as well. Sometimes all you're doing is making a pick to deny the enemy the opportunity to take that objective, and at the same time having jungle patience is very crucial in these cases. Don't go back in before you're ready, don't go back in just to suicide. It's okay to let a teammate die, because if you can then wait a little bit and then clean up afterwards, you still come out ahead as a team and as an individual because, gold on blue Kayn, you want to hard carry, you want to make all the kills, you want to make the game a living nightmare for the enemy. Now, we can fast forward a little bit. The Kayn basically does a full clear of his jungle to get that experience back that he had left on the map. Both teams flirt with a fight, but they're not really in position to take one, and because of this, it gives up the pressure of the Herald to the Nidalee. But you'll notice that the Kayn now, because of his in and outs, because of his farming, and because of the way he's played the game, he is up 2 levels on the enemy, which is why I said not to focus too much when you're down 1 level, but you know you've been having a good impact. Once again, an equal and opposite reaction. The Nidalee takes the Herald, shows on a war top lane, means Kayn can get that fire dragon that's been sitting there for a while, but ideally you're looking to get that Herald yourself, but don't, greed for it, don't suicide for it. You can play around losing it, and yes, Nidalee did a good job of securing that Herald and using it on the top lane, but the Kayn uses good vision control, scanning the pit before he leaves, and now in order to sort of punish the attention the enemy's placing on taking those towers, he can flank up and again using vision control to make a play to stall the enemy's gold advantage. You want to be able to carry your team, but you can't do that if you're farming, if you're split pushing. You have to deny the enemy as well as help carry fights for your team given that you have the huge experience advantage. And so after doing that and basically halting that hard tower push by Nidalee's team, this means the map is going to begin to open up more. As towers fall, as enemies start to push lanes out further, ignoring vision control, make sure you punish the split push. And at the exact same time, the Nidalee takes out the Sylas on the top lane and the Kayn takes out the Fiora on the bottom lane, punishing split pushes for towers, for greeting, and for ignoring vision. Just because we're in the mid game now, doesn't mean you stop ganking, doesn't mean you stop applying the pressure. The Kayn is slowly starting to pick up a lot of kills in all these situations, and that's only going to empower him more and more. And if you are an assassin, if you are someone that can really win 1v1s or take someone off the map immediately, the goal now is to make the game unfair. Because if you have good vision control, and good map scaling, and good map mobility, as well as burst, well, case in point, you want to make it a 4v5 at minimum. Give yourselves the numbers advantage all the time. Make sure you are making a pick on someone so that the enemy will not have numbers to make any form of cohesive play. Yes, if they're grouping up an A-ramming mid, you can employ different strategies, but that's more of a macro decision. You have to play with what the enemy is doing. So if they're split up like this, and you are Shadow Assassin Kayn, and you are by far the strongest member on the team, go ahead and assassinate. And all of that, the flanking, the making picks, is a byproduct of knowing your role in the game, in the team comp you're both playing within as well as facing. If you're a tank, know if you need to engage or if you need to peel. Know what targets are important. All of this factors in to how you play around the mid and late game phases. Because the Shadow Assassin Kayn here was basically just being a tick and nuisance on the enemy, consistently making the game unfair and making it very difficult for them to do anything in securing towers despite the fact that they had an overall lead as a team, it has ended up with their Kayn's team on Baron, and this is where junglers really need to pay attention to Baron etiquette. If the enemy jungler is alive, someone needs to zone them if they are higher level. If they are not, and you are the enemy jungler and you have a huge lead, go ahead and take them. If you use Smite to secure the kill like he does in Nidalee here, they don't need Smite for the Baron. It is more risky, but the fact that the enemy jungler is off the map negates the need to really have Smite as much if everyone knows to burst the Baron. However, please, if you are doing the Baron and the enemy jungler is a higher level, this goes for everyone, please know to back off. Smite fights 50-50 when your jungle is a lower level is just a horrible idea. Know when to pull off, know when to zone, and know when to go for it, but do not hesitate when a Baron opportunity opens up, because trust me, sometimes they will come back to bite you if you are too hesitant to secure a Baron that could have easily been taken. And finally, know your macros. We can use PCNF, proteins, carbs, and fats. you know, just like in your nutrition, except we can replace PCNF with proactive, control, and forward. Make sure you are always moving forward, you have map control with your vision, and you are proactive about your decisions to take towers and open up the base. Don't go farm your jungle, you don't need to wait until you have full items. This is not a YouTube video, you're looking for LP and wins. And so you see the final scorecard. The kill participation is astronomically high. He was the biggest impact in the game. He won the team fights for his team. He consistently assassinated someone out of position. Hopefully this full gameplay gives you a nice example of what you need to do in order to carry your games. And if you're low MMR and mid MMR complaining about your teams, if you play like this, you will win way more than if you didn't. So stop complaining and just do it. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and comment if you enjoyed and learned something at the same time. Be on the lookout for more coaching streams coming up soon now that I've officially moved house. Subscribe for more League of Legends and jungle videos coming very soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.